Blake's verdict is in. Alexis is busy making plans and Crystal still doesn't feel very well. Welcome to Dynasty.
Blake Carrington guilty.
Blake's convicted of murder.
No!
But this is soap opera and you can't have a character just disappear into jail. There isn't much luxury primetime fun going on in prison. It's soap opera. What do? You convict him and then you say the jury recommend that he has 2 years probation.
You're not very subtle, are you?
Joseph and Alexis have a showdown. Joseph, the butler at Carrington Mansion, finds Alexis in the art studio and my word do they go at it. In the right corner we have Miss Alexis Morel Carrington, an artist with a quick tongue who wears ruffles like it's armour. In the left we have the steely haired Joseph who knows everything about everything. Ding ding, round one.
Did you get past the gate?
I told the gate man who I was. Need I remind you, Joseph?
Need I remind you, there is a present, Mrs. Carrington.
Still the haughty Major Domo.
There's something that I think one of the servants should bring to you. Yes, it's a scrapbook about you. Clippings from, you know, those scandal sheets they sell so well.
Don't tell me that you read that trash alone at night in bed.
Well, that's the only way I've kept track of your travels and doings. Very titillating.
You always were insolent. You thrive on it, don't you?
Depends on who my target is. And you just happen to be a built-in bullseye.
Poor, lonely Joseph. Still the impotent voyeur. I'd love to see the scrapbook, Joseph. Do send it over. It will be all. Yeah! It's been said of me a few times, in a few languages.
Blake has an absolute blowout.
Crystal, the last subject on earth I want to hear another word about are my children. So help me, there are times when I wish I'd never had them.
So of course this is happening.
I'm pregnant.
So Jeff of the good hair has a little moment of tough guy action when a strangely aggressive journalist approaches Blake after the trial.
Ty Meredith from Inside Finance magazine.
I mean, it is really full on. Is he trying to bait Blake into some kind of reaction? This actor is going to take his John Denver hair and his owl-sized glasses and milk it for all it's worth. He's here and he's here for answers. He's strangely aggressive from the moment he starts talking.
You've just been convicted of manslaughter.
Get your hand off of me.
Or what, sir? More manslaughter?
But, Jeff, good hair Colby, to the rescue.
Oh, just a punch in the gut. And I'd be happy to deliver it for him. All right.
And Fallon turns into a 6-year-old girl.
Are you all right, Daddy?
On a side note, Jeff, Mr. John James. In 1985, John James was featured on the front cover of Playgirl. Special holiday issue, no less. And can I just say, good on you, mate. The back issue says John James, open brackets, not nude, close brackets. That back issue would set you back $95. That's the power of good hair. We have one of my favourite Fallon scenes. It's the middle of the night. She's in the kitchen and she's baking and in comes Joseph and they have a whole back and forth about what a loving daughter she is.
See, I have this nervous habit of getting up in the middle of the night and baking. Every time my father gets convicted of manslaughter.
We really have to talk about Fallon's dialogue. I feel like the writers approached Fallon's dialogue with a sense of Edward Lear nonsense poetry. In the first episode we had this.
I'm Gertie the garbage man.
Now I know what you're thinking. Context, you're being unfair. Give me context and this would make more sense. Absolutely. Here's more context.
But you just transferred your garbage and you dumped it on her.
Well, I finally seem to have found a career for myself after all these years of sweet antiseptic indolence. I'm Gertie the garbage man.
Now that didn't help at all, did it? Although this is my favourite.
Well, then suck on a grapefruit. You do love grapefruit, too.
For the way you embrace the strange and obtuse dialogue, Pamela Sue Martin, we salute you. Okay, let's talk about Claudia Blaisdell. Now, because we've skipped series 1, there's another backstory. So it's all a bit convoluted, so I made a mini movie trailer so you can catch up. Here we go.
I have a husband, and I have a daughter, and they mean everything to me.
You're a very lucky woman, Mrs. Blaisdell. You're going to be all right.
Mrs. Blaisdell, your husband left a message. They're gone.
Think about Lindsay right now, and not about yourself.
The bills are of no concern. Everything's been taken care of.
So Claudia had an affair with Stephen. To me, it just seems like she maybe doesn't want to be married. I don't know, what do you think? Doesn't seem so much of a crime. But in Dynasty, back in the 80s, that lands you in a mental institute. It's almost like they're saying she's suffering with her nerves. You know, the way that Mrs. Bennet in Pride and Prejudice, she's a slave to her nerves. If you're unhappy and you question how things are as a woman in the 80s in soap opera, often you are disturbed or there is something wrong with you. So much so that actually Claudia's storyline over the episode starts to feel like a gothic novel. She's almost the figure that is there always to suffer. And in this episode we find her strapped to the bed. And the doctor.
I have to find my daughter.
I know that.
We have to talk about that doctor.
You know that. If you know it, why can't I go?
They treat her as if her worrying about her child who has been abducted by her husband it's just a mild concern, that she's really an overreactive mother. It's very strange.
You've got this thing about our patients trying to sneak out on us. Pride, ego, you know?
Every time I see this scene, it makes me feel violent. I want to stab that doctor in the eye with a syringe. And it gets better. He is only foreshadowing the medical crazy coming down the pipeline in the next few episodes. Alexis settles on her next move. Crystal, you've got a new neighbour.
I'm moving in.
I knew we weren't that ugly. I knew it.